Oh, hello. It's me again, Auteur Deluxe. Well, I'm Adam. The channel is Auteur Deluxe. Follow me on Twitter at Auteur Deluxe, on Instagram at Auteur Deluxe, and then on uh, Letterboxd it's at Ween with three E's, Weeen. And drop your recents. Let me know, what have you been watching recently? A couple people did let me know, and my friend told me to watch The Black Goat's Daughter, which I still haven't watched. I watched the trailer for like the third time, but I have an idea of what I'm going to review next week when I do my first official review, but I may go back on it, so we'll see what happens next week. But in the meantime, just tell me what you've been watching recently, and here go my four recent movies per the Letterboxd algorithm. These are the four things I watched this week. I watched more than four, but these are the more. That's a weird humble brag, fucking idiot. All right, the most recent four movies I watched this week. Here they go. Number one. The first thing I watched this week was the Michael Hanaka documentary called Michael H hyphen profession colon director. So Michael H hyphen profession colon director. No wait, Michael H period hyphen profession colon director. Okay, so gotta get that right. Gotta get the people on Reddit will have my fucking head if I don't get that right. But anyway, it was a documentary about Michael Hanaka, who is one of my favorite directors. If you're unfamiliar with him, he did Funny Games. He did Happy End was his most recent movie. 71 Fragments of a Chronology of Chance. That one's not very good. But my favorite of his is Benny's Video. That movie is amazing. It's kind of hard to find, but find it because it's really good. Anyway, this documentary goes into kind of his process. It more or less serves as like kind of DVD extra footage from like behind the scenes of his movies with a couple of talking head interviews kind of spliced together. But it was good. It gave a lot of insight into his mode and how he is on set, which I always assumed he was a taskmaster, but he's like really a taskmaster. There's one scene where he's watching, he's like in the edit bay watching a shot of audience members applauding after a play or something. And he goes, nope, get rid of that one, call him. I don't even know what he's doing. And it's hilarious because he's got all these gripes about something as arbitrary as people applauding in a 3-second shot. So he is a perfectionist, he is a taskmaster, and I had a pretty good feeling about that, but to see it was intense. And especially the big fight scene in the beginning, fight scene, like it's fucking Rocky, the big confrontation scuffle in the beginning of the movie Code Unknown, and it shows him going over that and like yelling at extras and like, what the hell are you doing? And it's fun to watch, but it gives a lot of insight of like what he's kind of about, and he refuses to interpret his films. He refuses to go into the themes of his films. But that being said, he does dive in a little bit where he talks about how film should not be escapism. He thinks art should be hung in a gallery, and film should be more of just very procedural, very realistic. He has a lot of long shots. He has a lot of, I don't want to say boring, but he has a lot of kind of what you would consider arbitrary shots that he leaves in because he thinks film should be realistic, because that way you let your guard down, and then when these horrific things do happen, you take them in. He's a master manipulator, and he admits it. And you see this in Funny Games is the most famous example, when he's rewinding. There's a spoiler alert, but there's a scene in Funny Games where I won't completely spoil it, but he knows he's a master manipulator, and he puts a lot of the onus on his audience to know what he's doing, to know when you pay the price to go see a film, you are being manipulated. He thinks that when you are addressing the audience directly and you remove all the beauty, remove all the style, it's easier to tell them horrific things. And it's not an escapism, it is more of a kind of touching reality, is the way he describes it. So when you see these horrific things on the screen, once you've let your guard down, they're way more effective. And you definitely see that in his films. The Seventh Continent is a very hard watch. That is a very, very hard watch. I would even err on the side of not recommending that movie. But if people love fucked up shit, so go watch The Seventh Continent. I forget where I saw it. Yeah, it's out there. So go watch The Seventh Continent. But honestly his favorite movie of mine, my favorite movie of his rather, is Benny's Video. which I know for a fact is very hard to find, but it is worth hunting down. It is a great movie. It's a meditation on violence and just how we are desensitized to violence through the media, through seeing it in films, and especially nowadays. And you can tell he knows this because you see it in Happy End, that we are completely desensitized to violence. And he predicted this. I think Benny's video came out in 1992. And it's not really giving much away because it's one of the first scenes in the movie, but he is just rewinding and keeps rewatching one of those things that you dome a pig with to lead it to slaughter, one of those Anton Chigurh No Country for Old Men things. He's just showing a pig getting domed with that, and he's just fascinated because he's watching it over and over. It's very much that live leak culture of, hey, let's watch Bud Dwyer blow his brains out. Let's watch beheading video. He was doing this. He predated the internet. Got off on a little bit of a tangent, but yeah, I would recommend that documentary if you're interested in Michael Hanaka. If you're not, I don't know what you're doing watching this channel. The next thing I watched was Michael Lee's Meantime from 1983. I've been meaning to watch this for a while. I saw that it came out on Criterion. I saw that it had been available on YouTube, like panned and scanned for a long time, and I've had a bad copy of it downloaded for years. Just never watched it. It's the whole what he's going for in like the British class struggle. I don't want to say I don't relate to it, but I don't vibe with that whole thing. I mean, I do, but I'm not as educated on it enough to really get it on a bunch of different levels. But I mean, obviously you can watch that movie and empathize with the characters. The characters are very much gigantic, big, bright characters. Everybody in that movie seemingly has something wrong with them. Tim Roth's character, the brother, keeps calling him Muppet, keeps calling him Kermit. It's very weird, very out there. And Gary Oldman's character is like this skinhead punk. It's very un-Gary Oldman performance, but I guess that was like his first big movie. But the main thing I took away from this movie is like, you're allowed to make this. You can just make this. It reminded me of that show, The Royal Family, Royle, where it's just British people watching TV. Like, it's all character. There's a story, but it's all character. It's all visual. It's all watching these characters interact, and at times they're funny, at times it's tender, at times it's sweet. But more than anything, it's just how do they interact with each other, how do they treat each other. And same thing with Naked. I watched Naked recently, the other Mike Leigh movie. I'm new to Mike Leigh, clearly. But Naked had different strong points, but the main thing is just watching these characters interact and very good dialogue, which I guess is, I don't know with Naked, but I guess Meantime, a lot of it was improvised. Number 3 was Tyrannosaur. This came out in 2011. I saw this trailer years ago. I don't remember if my friend Kyle sent it to me or if I saw it elsewhere, but I saw the trailer a long time ago. So it's Olivia Colman and a world-weary kind of alcoholic piece of shit older guy. There's really nothing here. I did not like this movie at all. It was weird seeing it after seeing Meantime, where you see such a great piece of British cinema. Even if I didn't get it on every cylinder, this is Meantime I'm talking about, even if I didn't catch everything going on, all the nuances, Tyrannosaur did not work. It didn't work. There's unnecessary violence. Very unnecessary violence. Within the first 5 minutes, he's killing his dog. You can't have a redemption story when you don't like the guy who is to be redeemed. Like, you really don't like him. Like, kills a dog, doesn't like him. Like that, I don't know what test audience wasn't like hitting every button or turning every knob to make this not come out. It was bad. It was that bad. It was drab. Just the color scheme, the color palette was terrible. It made me want to go to sleep. I think it maybe did make me go to sleep. The dialogue was bad. It was cringeworthy. It was just bad characters, poorly written, and you don't care about any of them. Olivia Colman, her performance is good because Olivia Colman's good, but you don't care. You don't care for her, and just the turn that the story takes is terrible. It's horrible. And it's not just that I dislike seeing uncomfortableness or bad things happening on the screen, because I detest that. I detest people that say a movie is bad because things that made them uncomfortable happen in the no, it's not that. This is just a fucking terrible movie. And I feel like the worst feeling is to come out of a movie or finish a movie and feel like your time has been wasted. And Tyrannosaur felt like an enormous waste of time. The best part was he explains how basically why the titular line of the movie, why it's called Tyrannosaur, and that part's funny. But other than that, skip it. The next thing I watched was Fish Tank from 2009. This has been on my list for a long time too. This is a movie, you're following Maya, I forget already. You follow a young girl, 15-year-old girl, and she's kind of having a hard time. She doesn't have the best parents. The father figure is MIA, but the mother is not a great example. Little sister is a shit. You hear her say the C word within the first 5 minutes of her being introduced on the screen. Anyway, Mia's whole thing is she wants to dance. This gets kind of interrupted when Michael Fassbender's character comes in, who is dating the mother, and you kind of don't know what his intentions are until further on in the movie, and that whole thing plays out. This movie visually, I liked it a little bit. I kind of liked it. It was in that 4:3 aspect ratio, that square. Like you used to say like VHS, but now you say like Instagram. It's in the same aspect ratio as The Lighthouse, I think. Don't quote me if I'm wrong. Don't yell at me. Please don't yell at me. But it's in a square, which makes everything smushed, which makes all the conflict kind of bounce off the screen more. And also the way the director moved the camera, it was too much. It was almost Blair Witchy of just herky-jerky moving the camera. But anyway, this movie, it was a lot of will they or won't they with Michael Fassbender and the main character. And I mean, that plays out the way it's going to play out. I won't spoil it. But by the end of it, you're questioning the motives of the main character. You're questioning the motives of... Well, you're not questioning the motives of Michael Fassbender's character. But just some of the actions that this main character takes towards the end really took me out of it. And the end of the film itself just really took me out of it. It did nail it on a couple of things. Just growing up with a little sister, I felt like they knocked it out of the park of like the way Mia interacted with her little sister and just the way Mia was in general. It reminded me of growing up with a 15-year-old. A lot of like pink TV VHS combinations with stickers all over them. A lot of jelly sandals and like hit clips, if anyone remembers hit clips. So they hit that lane very well. But other than that, this movie just didn't... where it went, you're on board for the whole first half, the will they or won't they, and then when that comes to fruition, you're just expecting something different. And maybe it's just me. I mean, it's art. You can't objectively say whether it's good or bad, but I didn't like where it went. And there were scenes where it's physically uncomfortable to watch, and it reminded me a lot of Uncut Gems, where just every decision this person is making, you're like, please don't do that. Do not do that. Whatever you do, don't do that. And then they do something worse. So every time you expect them to zig, they zag, and they zag hard. So, all right. These are the 4 movies I watched this week. Meantime, I would recommend. I like it. The Michael Hanaka documentary I would also recommend. Tyrannosaur is trash. Do not watch Tyrannosaur. And Fish Tank's fine. Go watch Fish Tank if you'd like. This is kind of a jumbled mess, but whatever. All right, thanks. Bye. Anyway, that's about it. So, like I said, follow on Instagram, follow on Twitter, and just be back next week. I think I might actually do a real movie next week, like devote an entire one of these to a movie. Not one of these, as in the drop your recents, but an entire video devoted to one movie. So that may be coming next week, may not. I don't know what I'm doing. So thank you and God bless.